Anyways, let's go check the charts. We've got the dip that I was expecting with this. We haven't talked about this in a while. And Vic, if you want to mute when you're off or whatever, and then like if you need to tell me something, unmute, and that way the clicks and all that. On Rendezvous, you can mute yourself. Okay, so here's the thing. We haven't talked about this a lot since last year because it hasn't really happened. But when you have a really strong move in the market, like this, and then you get a smackdown, like a really harsh one. You guys remember that feeling you had when this was coming down, right? We swept the highs, and when that happens, what it does is it shocks the market into a state of consolidation, and that is where the fib pong comes from. And so, for those of you who haven't seen it before, I can just do this up as we go. Like I'll kind of start you off where I was before. So I'm going to keep this squiggly because I like it and I want to see if it plays out. But for now, let's just get rid of this. We'll hide it. Can bring it back later. Okay, so from this high to this low, you establish a range. Now, typically, as is the vibrational way of the market, the bounce and all that, you get this big smackdown, creates you a range, and then you can just play the fib pong. And so what that means is, longing off of here, in this case I did because if you look on the 4 hour, there were some candle body highs. I actually longed here initially and then added here. And then you can kind of anticipate that strong, this strength, big smackdown, you're probably going to bounce. If there's ever a short to take here, it's all the way up in the short reload zone. And that's, this has been playing out perfectly. So we're going to use it as an example. And I'm happy to say I actually traded this one. There's a lot of stuff in my analysis, and then I'm like, oh, cool. And then I don't trade it. That's been a pattern the last year or two through the bull market. But I'm back, and I'm working hard to stick to, trading my stuff. So this one worked out. Now, over the weekend, or what was it? Sunday. Yeah. So Sunday and all that, we had, all this stuff up near the highs. Now I can't long up there. Where am I going to risk against, right? Because any kind of long setup up here doesn't invalidate till all the way down here. Cutting your longs through this is just asking to get stopped out, like we did here, while the chart is still very bullish. That's stupid. But it's normal. I mean, it's normal to get bullish up here and then set stops below this, and that's how they get flushed. And that's why I love this setup, because it really puts you in a position of strength. Now, once the market moved up here, we can create that second fib. So we go from the low to the high. We've created our own range. And you can start thinking about bidding this reload zone, which I did. And actually had it even on Twitter, which is nice. And once in a while, it's nice to share some ideas before they happen. I'm not very good at that, but it happens. And it worked out here. Now, once you get that dip down, you can draw yet another fib back up into here. And if it's too confusing for you, you can delete the old one. And essentially what happens here, so that was the next one. We came up, swept the highs, really tag range high, pretty normal stuff. And then you can draw yet another fib between this and this. And so what ends up happening, the net effect of this is you just get this shrinking range. And that is where the bull flags come from. You get these consolidations. I don't know when I discovered this. It was some time ago when I was just trading fibs and then noticing that it seems to happen. Like the best way to start hunting this setup is to wait for a really powerful move in the market, generally in an uptrend, and then the big smackdown. And once that big smackdown comes, you can be pretty safe in assuming that we're not going to break out of this until it tightens, a bunch of uncertainty, and then it breaks up or breaks down. Now, my big thesis, as you guys know, my primary thinking, K-Dot in the chat flattering me, dude. That's thoughtful. My primary thesis is over here. Actually, let's go find that first. But basically, I'm long and strong. I want to catch what I expect to be the next leg, which I think it will be quite large, quite aggressive. This is really like my zoomed out view of the market right now. Okay, so like we should really be starting the show here as far as what I expect. Now we've got all this like Hong Kong stuff heating up. There's definitely a narrative there where we rally into late spring, early summer, because I think it's something like June 5th or June whatever. Not worrying about all that, but China's a big deal. they were like the center kind of cornerstone to crypto pre-2020. And then China banned Bitcoin, and then they finally banned Bitcoin for real, the Bitcoin mining in, I think it was May 2021. That's where we got the big nuke. I mean, their presence in the market as a country, policy-wise, is huge. It cannot be overstated how big that is. So for them to kind of come out actually in October last year and say that Hong Kong was planning to legalize, yeah, we'll do some chart requests near the end, guys. Just let me get through my initial thinking for the day, because we're at a key level here where I think the next move is going to be really spicy. So I want to get this out here. It's also just my own way to journal sort of where I'm at, and then listen back later and see if it sounds stupid. Anyways, we had, the big FTX depression trough. We broke out of that with strength, reclaimed this key level, which also happened to be a pump chaser zone on ETH and Bitcoin. And then we dribbled into it for 2 weeks. CPI came out and boom, market was back. No uncertainty, erased all that. And now it's just consolidating above this. So I'm not buying the bear setups. Because here's the thing, in an uptrend, and this is why they say your trend is your friend, trade with the trend. And it took me years to learn this. I was always trying to just trade whatever setup came in, regardless of the trend. But the reason they say trend is your friend and trade with it is because, yeah, sure, you might find a short setup here and short it, but what's your upside? And if you're wrong, you're missing the bigger leg. And so that's what I think is going on here. There's a lot, we could totally roll over here and come down and check out some of these levels, and that would still be an uptrend, and then we could go higher, sure. But I want to catch this next leg if I can, and I've got a very clear frame of risk here to do that from. And yeah, I still think we're going to head up into this area here. I think we could. This is where the Gann 50-50 rule would take us. I've seen it happen many, many times. If you guys watched last week, we have a lot of examples right in our TradingView ideas section, or at least a couple. And then, the Bitcoin 2019 fractal went right here. So I don't think that that's that crazy of a level. And of course, there's levels along the way, and we'll play it level by level. But ultimately, I'm keeping this up there. I think it would be holy shit, that was actually happened, but wouldn't be that shocked. Now, coming back here, we might roll over. But if we roll over, we're coming back down into here. And I think the overwhelming probability is that would be the lowest we go. And it would make sense from a few points of view, as far as coming back into this big node right along the 618. Yeah, there's all these reasons why there's a trade down here when it gets here. And I definitely will be loading this reload zone. And I'll be stopped out before we get there. So I'll actually, save a little bit of downside between here and there. But we're not there right now. What we are is everything I just showed you, kind of blasting out to new local highs and now consolidating after this, which makes a whole lot of sense, because this shit will drive you nuts. Raise your hand if you can. Shit's driving you nuts the last few days, right? But if you apply the right fib strategy in this kind of consolidation trading, then this can be really profitable and can set you up to be long from the bottom end of this consolidation, risking to one of the lower levels, whichever one is your comfort, right? The golden rule ultimately, or the idea is, the tighter your stop, the more size you can take. But the tighter your stop, the more likely it is to get stopped out. So finding that sweet spot. My initial longs were from here, right in this zone, which felt great. But then when we were up here, I was kind of like, damn, there's a lot of profit in here, and I'm literally expecting us to go back down. I don't want to just give all that back for 2 weeks. I just keep giving money back. And so this has been an issue for me in the past, where I would do that, and I would essentially, take some profit here, not get my full position back, take some profit here, not get my full position back. And then by the end of this, the move happens, and I'm not in the nice fat position that I originally loaded. And so all that touching of stuff is net negative on my P&L. This time I was a little more careful. I was sure to try not to sell all these dips, but really try to wait for the rips. Anyways, I've reloaded most. I'm fully loaded on ETH. We can look at ETH a little later. It's kind of comparatively weaker, but I got most of a fill on Bitcoin. Actually half, so not quite most. And then ETH is already right down at the bottom of its thing here. And if I'm spending a lot of time on this to start, it's because these are all the things I'm watching right now. I'm not, I've got a few altcoin ideas, and we'll take some chart requests today. But the majors are decidedly, movers of the market, and they're moving right now. So This could be the dip. This was ETH, really nice clean tag. I actually filled a little higher because I was really aggressive with this, trying to get it into this like EQ. But we came down here. We have not stopped me out. I moved my stop up to this, which is dangerous because I think we're bullish above this level. But given this whole things and consolidation trading that I just talked about, I don't think we make a lower low here. And if we do, it's a tag and go, and I'll have to ape back in or something. I have an alert set, so could be painful. And then the only other one that I'm really looking at the moment is Solana. And again, it's hard to do this, over trading, I guess you could call it, if you want to call it something. But like really nice fill down on the PCZ, had my stop loss here. I could just leave it. But we came into this resistance. Everything's looking a little soft. I'd rather take some of that profit off, build a little bit of, a base to risk, and then, reloading here. So my entry is not as nice looking anymore, but I've taken some money out of the market. So I hope that makes sense. So over trading Magoo. If you can, Vic, try shrinking that visual a little bit too, like what my camera box on the back end. If you shrink it and push live, just to give us a little more look at the volume and stuff. Okay, so yeah, I still think the upside on Solana way kind of more important than like worrying about if it rolls over. If it rolls over, there's going to be lots of sweet areas I can start thinking about a new setup someday. But if it blasts out of here, this is weekly resistance, right? This is a big level. Let's zoom out for a sec. So this is a big level on Solana, right? This is kind of like the FTX lows that were lost. So we're kind of just consolidating below it. If we blast through it, it should be a very aggressive candle, sort of what I'm expecting on Bitcoin. Sort of what I'm expecting, see this void here on the VPVR? There's basically just a vacuum of liquidity there. So if we blast higher, it should happen pretty aggressively. And I'm expecting something similar really across the board. If that happens on Bitcoin, it's probably going to happen on most coins. And it's just a matter of how much of dominance issues and then, lagging alts and whatever. So Solana is one that I picked for this leg. And as you can see here, getting back in at this low today. Not the full size though, right? I was kind of like waiting for a bit more of a dip. So I've net reduced my exposure to the long side through trying to trade this range, but I've already locked in some profits. And I think that's an important piece because you always want to hold on and just think to yourself, could be wrong. We could just chill up here and then break down. On that note, the thing that would do that to us is equities. They look like shit, but not as shitty as a lot of people are saying. So we'll take a quick look at these. This is the ES mini futures. This is like the little downward channel that I have drawn off of these two lows and then stretch back to this high. So it gives us an extension. We're kind of coming into the bottom of that channel. And if you zoom out a bit, you take this low here and you stretch this out, we're sitting in the pump chaser zone. A place where if I wanted to be a bull, I would typically wait to set my bids. So I wouldn't be shocked. Now, the crazy thing is Bitcoin, ETH, all that, they're not even falling down this hard, right? They're outperforming right now relative to this. They're kind of stalled because of this ES drop, probably. There's a lot of hesitancy in the market. But you can see clearly this is doing worse. So if this just stops going down, I think crypto is like a beach ball underwater right now, consolidating under key levels before just the leg. I cannot stress to you enough how big this leg I think will be. And so I'm willing to risk against these lows. I'm willing to take some shots here. And then again, if wrong, go down here. I don't think there's any sense in sort of like waiting for the resolution of this because the move up, if and when it comes, should be so powerful that it's probably not like a cute little retesting go. It's probably just an absolute God candle. It just is what it is. So I have somewhat reduced my long exposure overall, but captured some really nice, profits over the last few days. So I'm not going to be too bothered by that. But I've got my positions. And I guess the other one is DYDX, I forgot to mention. I actually kind of forgot that I had that bid in. I was not, I had set that bid when this W broke out. I had set a bid on DYDX for a perp long. Nothing too crazy, not too big of size, because you don't really need that big of size in alts like this. This thing could move 200-300%. So, a little bit goes a long way. Anyways, once this W broke out, I set that bid. So that filled this morning. I was like, oh, nice. So Solana, ETH, Bitcoin, DYDX. Now here's another one that's interesting. Before we get into chart requests, because then we're going off the deep end with you guys, which I love, but I'll get lost in it. Let me just check the chat. Jay says, love your streams, dude. Explain everything so clear and concise. Thanks, dude. Perhaps the function of having been a teacher for 7 years before all this. Yes. Believe it or not. I was in a classroom teaching steps. I was not teaching this. Didn't know this at the time, but it's been a good 6 years now. And thank you, man. That feels good. I like teaching. I miss it, but I'm not going back. This stuff's too fun. Guess we should watch after hours trading. Yeah, let's keep an eye on the after hours. The reason I chart the ES is because there's less gaps. It's a smoother chart. It trades in the evenings. I just like it better. It's the thing I chart. It's essentially it's an extension of the S&P 500, in my opinion. Now, if somebody who knows a lot about TradFi says, "No, here's why you're wrong. You should chart the SPX," they can tell me about it. I wouldn't know. I am not the TradFi guy, but I do keep an eye on it because everyone likes to talk about correlations. But I think that there is a lot of good information we should be not ignoring in the weakness we're seeing in the ES mini futures and the relative strength we're seeing in things like Bitcoin. I mean, look at this. Bitcoin's making higher lows, doing all the stuff we just talked about, the consolidation. And meanwhile, ES mini futures just losing its lunch. So now I saw an interesting tweet yesterday we should talk about. I think I retweeted it because it just spoke to where I'm at right now with this whole TradFi thing. So let's go find it right here. This kind of crypto US equities correlation experts from class of 21 finally getting the hang of their complex bear prediction models, only to get fucked by the Chinese money. Not realizing that the entire crypto sphere was basically run by Chinese money prior to 2020, and equities was irrelevant for the longest time. And I remember that. I never, ever, and up until maybe 2021, heard about somebody like charting TradFi and being like, "Oh, the S&P is down, the Nasdaq's down. I guess that's why we're dipping." Like, it was like we were just in our own world. Now, given, granted, there was kind of an uptrend over there, and it was fairly consistent and strong, so maybe that's why it was irrelevant. But we had bear markets through equity strength. We had bull markets like 2017. So I love this thinking. It kind of aligns with what I'm thinking, which is not really, like, certainly not staying out of my long bullishness on crypto because of this. I think that's a really great way to get left out of what should be the biggest trade of our decade, which is the decoupling, where, crypto just breaks away from equities indefinitely. Because think about it. Crypto is this global asset class, digital currencies, digital assets, global asset class, thousands of developers, perhaps hundreds of thousands. I don't know the numbers. Founders, projects, funding, billions and billions of dollars in funding, major hedge funds, market makers, you name it. They're in this space. They're building, they're supporting, they're investing. And the entire thing's market cap, including Bitcoin, ETH, and all the rest, is still valued less than Amazon. One company in one country, big ass company, but it's one. And so if you're saying that there's going to be a correlation between equities and crypto forever, and they're not going to break away and grow, you're basically saying that this entire global thing, all that talent, all that stuff, all the problems being solved, all the products are going to stay like smaller than Amazon forever? I don't buy it. And so that decoupling, when it happens, has the potential to be so massive, and the trade or the positions I could be in so profitable, that I don't want to miss it because I'm like, oh, look, there's a 4-hour downtrend on the ES mini futures. Like, I don't know when it's going to happen. According to this, kind of already happened, right? I mean, some people will say this is just like higher beta. Like, this was moving up. This was just moving up more. This moved down. This moved down. So it is still, maybe there's some correlation. But I expect this to just blast off, regardless of what's going on in equities at some point. there will be a tipping point. It's this year, it's next year, it's in 5 years. I don't care. But because I'm so concerned with missing that, and I'm so sure it's going to happen, I'm not overly dependent on what's going on over here. I think that has worked for people in the last year or two, and maybe I should have been, but I'm certainly not going to start now. So I really like that tweak because it kind of highlighted a potential for catalyst for that separation to happen, which is basically the return of positive, crypto positive policy in China. Not to be underestimated how big that is. So looks like we're getting the move off these lows today, which is really nice to see. Even if we are going lower locally, it would probably be something like this. So, if that was the end of the dip and we just blast higher here, I might be, I'll be a little bit lighter weight than I was before. So that could be a little bit painful, but this is the game we play. What I wanted to do was like guarantee that all of this I had so far traded was kind of profitable. But yeah, you can see how this is shaping up, right? Really cute. And it's amazing how scary this can feel, these dips, where you're like, oh man, I knew it. It's over. Retreat down here. And then you get left behind. That's typically what I remember happening to me when I don't use this setup. So this FibPong is working out great. Let's see how it ages. Now let's get into the charts because there are some other narratives. There's some Chinese coins. The West traders love to just spot what they think the Chinese will buy. I think they have a preference for Bitcoin. So we're seeing that expressed somehow in the dominance, which is still just continuing to quietly trend higher. I think if we break to new highs, I'm pretty sure it's going to be led by Bitcoin and we're going to see a blast higher in dominance. And there's an interesting inverse situation cooking up on ETH BTC. I can try to get in here with this fib and get spicy, but realistically, this should be stretched for the higher time frame. So this is your ETH BTC. And there's no reason to think. I had this thesis early in the year and I abandoned it because I was really paper-handed on my thinking. Through this, I was like, oh, I think we're going to go down here. And then up here, I was like, okay, I'm back in ETH. So I might be getting chopped around here, but that's why I want to make sure I have longs on Bitcoin perps because my spot bags are fairly heavily weighted towards ETH. But there's nothing weird about going down here, guys. This would be like a standard Wyckoff check. In fact, it looks like a magnet. This gap here. And so that would be Bitcoin dominance blasting higher, Bitcoin leading, ETH BTC and some other altcoin pairs getting rinsed, something like this. And there's nothing wrong with that. And then it'd be like, oh, we knew ultrasound money. Whoa, ETH was the future. Like that's probably the path if we're going to break higher out of this monstrous consolidation, which you really need a monthly to look at. So one of the few times I'll show you guys a monthly chart in crypto, but this is going all the way back to like 2017. So there's actually, what's his name? Raoul Paul. Always mix up the crypto guy and the drag queen guy. Raoul Paul. Anyways, there's two of them. My apologies if I mixed up your name, sir. But he posted this and said it's one of the most bullish looking charts in crypto. And I was like, you know what, dude, you're not wrong. This is ETH flipping Bitcoin type talk. So I think we do see upside out of here, but I wouldn't be shocked if Bitcoin leads and we just get something like this. And who knows how that resolves in there. But I still think ETH probably leads out of this sometime this year, maybe next year. But out of this, I think Bitcoin. So, and so ironically, naturally, I got filled more on my ETH than my Bitcoin because ETH is relatively weaker. So you can see here, ETH went right down in here, filled my whole position. It won't matter in the end if they both move higher, but I do think, Bitcoin's the one. Okay. Yeah, Crypto Jake agrees. It's weird, right? The whole TradFi correlation relevance, it just nobody cared. It was like, hey, we're in crypto. This is awesome. Everything goes up, everything goes down. We didn't look. And then it turned into this because then the guys who were correlating it and the macro stuff, and there really was a correlation at some point. And I think that was actually like the unintended or unfortunate consequence of growing to a size where there was enough institutional money. The algos were running. I saw an interesting thing. Actually, that was in the same tweet. Maybe it's the extension of that. Yes. So this idea that it was really FTX, Alameda, who were perhaps the most crucial link between crypto and US equities. And with them gone, that swarms of algo correlation bots destroyed, correlation trading funds blowing up. Yeah. So that's kind of an extension of that. That's an interesting take, because they literally, they had stocks, tokenized stocks or whatever, like trading right on exchange. So them being gone, China coming back. Are we back to the days of old? Decouple, Bitcoin leads, and then once Bitcoin stops, everything else rallies. Like, we could be in for some real old school stuff here, guys. And there's absolutely no reason not to be thinking long out of this consolidation until it's not. And we nuke lower and say, oh, okay, lost some money. Get ready for the next level down here. I think it would be asinine to just sit here and completely rule out the possibility of this very strong trend continuing to be a very strong trend. But I'm seeing a lot of this like weird discomfort where like a lot of people up here, all they can think about is downside analysis, where it's either going to just nuke straight or we sweep highs and then it nukes straight. Like, I think there's a lot of cope mixed in with that kind of analysis. Like, I'm here straight up saying it could happen, but it's like I'm not focused on it, because that's going to get me out of position for what I think is the higher probability, much higher upside potential, which is just a very strong trend continuing. And not only a very strong trend, but like, holy shit, we've had some downside. It's time to take some back. It's not like, here I got faked out. We had a nice W and it looked like continuation. That sucks. But in retrospect, it was like, well, obviously we needed more time. We've had that time now. And the psychology of the market is perfect right now. There's still just a lot of this like discomfort with people that are sidelined, hoping for this dip. Meanwhile, they didn't fucking buy this dip. They're not going to buy this one. They're going to call for 12K again, right? So there's just no help in that. But if we blast higher, and whatever we do here, like if this kind of stuff happens, all that sideline stuff, they'll be back in, and that'll probably be that FOMO point that just broke them. It probably broke them on the way down. People without a trade plan, they just get broken by extreme emotion. It'll probably break them on the way up too, and that'll actually ironically mark pretty close to our high for the year, I think. And then we will maybe rotate down through a summer, or we just go forever. But either way. Anyways, these are all my rants. Let's get back to the chat. I want to talk to you guys. Yeah, we're up here. Okay, let's check out Mina. Let's look at some charts, guys. I'm FOMOing my Bitcoin a little bit. I want to stare at this one, but we're on stream, so let's go and work together. What am I looking at here? Okay. So I'll use my bottom right quadrant. D by dx. Nice bounce. Let's go. Mina. Min. I still have my Mina position. I shrunk it a little bit to rotate some into AVAX because I didn't have AVAX. I was running out of cash. So that's that. I don't know why I don't have the ink on here. That's weird. Anyways, this chart looks outstanding. Moving on. No. But seriously, if you can't see why somebody might want to long this chart, now I don't know if it'll lead. I don't know, all the rest. I think some of the important things to think about in bull markets is trying to be on fast horses during, the hot ball of money season. If a certain sector is hot, why not trade that one? Because a chart like this, if it's not in a hot sector, could just kill you for a month and then blast off. Depending on your time frames and how you trade. I know a lot of people that are probably just loading this up saying, I don't care. 2, 3, 4, 5 months, I'll sell half on a double, move on, make my 2x, my 10x, whatever. But objectively speaking, this volume that took it out of this low range was just explosive. So any kind of settling, consolidating here, I think is a recipe for further upside. It's not every day you see this. I mean, you could wait 2 years to see a chart like this. And that's not just Mina. There's a lot of these. I know FTM was another one that looked a lot like this recently. It's already started to move up a bit. And the volume on this one's not even as impressive, except for you can see as soon as it hit this bottom range, big buys came in. So there is like massive accumulation happening down here, which is nice to see. Again, you wait 2 years for this chart. to form. And, well, I'm going to look at TradFi and see if it's the right time to buy. No. By the time TradFi reverses, and if that correlation even exists in a year, these kinds of setups will be long gone. There'll be a bigger trend. You can catch something up there, but like this is sexy. So you have this nice depression trough down here, breakout, retest, now a leg, and we're just consolidating. Buyers are in control. Bulls are in control. Bears are nowhere to be found. And even right here, during that little dip the last few days, not a whole lot of sell volume. Can you guys see that? You can move in. Volume analysis is probably one of the most underrated. A lot of traders will say it's the most important, but like generally speaking, I don't see a lot of it online. Down is not always that bad. Up is not always that good. And a lot of it is just the volume. And so you can see here, bulls in control. So on the buying, the green is much bigger and stronger. Here, even here on this dip day at the top, the bears couldn't take over. And during this dip, where were the bears? There's no one really around. So it's like low impact selling, high impact buying. That's a very strong signal, something to pay attention to when you're trying to decide, what's going to happen here. Because like the old me might have got caught up over trading this, and I'm just sitting up here and I'm like, ooh, short reload zone. And like, that's cool. Okay. We could come down. We could end up back down in this reload zone and there'd be a new setup down there. Sure. But zoom back out and it's really obvious where the risk reward would be most rewarding. Because if I'm wrong about long here, and I don't have a big position, it's not perps or anything, it's just a little spot bag. If that ends up being wrong, I get stopped out here, I lose a few shekels, and I move on. Right? I find the setup down here probably more against this new setup. But if it's correct, I'm risking that much, and the upside potential is very strong, probably at least up to like $1 or something. And then of course you zoom out and like by the end of, this is FTM, but anyways, Mina, I don't actually have a bag of FTM. But speaking generally about the charts, FTM looks fantastic. I don't really like it fundamentally, like Halloween coin and all the weird spooky ghost themed shit on the chain. It just seems kind of juvenile and stuff, but that's such a like mid curve take. So bear with me. Let's go take a look at pseudo fold. I'm looking at today because I like bulls in control, struggling to break out of this, but when it does, I think it could catch a pretty nice move. As you guys know, full disclosure, invested in that one 2 years ago, but I also have a bag and I'm also part of the LP. So I keep an eye on it. Let's go check pseudo. I tried to ape into pseudo and then I got shit on and I had to cut it. If you're wrong, be wrong small. So I bought the breakout. I was actually having like a movie night at my house and I saw that it had just launched and I was like, oh man, Blur is going crazy. Pseudo might. So I went and bought like up through this blast off, kind of picturing something like this, but I was wrong. So I cut it. Even though now, ironically, might be the time where I should have bought it. The patient. So I don't know if I feel strongly enough about this chart to like make sure I get another piece. I don't know what the volumes are. So it's this talk of like, okay, Blur is super hype. If Blur is really hype, then this thing can echo with it. And I totally agree with that. Oh, actually, this looks really good right here. So it might be pseudo time. It might be a pseudo time. Now, keep in mind, this is a 15-minute chart, right? The daily has 0 data. And the 4-hour, this is probably the time to buy pseudo if I was trying to get my bag back. Just a nice hourly right off that. So my attempt to FOMO in cost me some Ethereum. I sold a little. I FOMOed in too much. I sold half, pretty much around break even, a little below, and then I puked the rest out like here yesterday at 3. Was it? No, I puked it out. Oh yeah, no, I puked it out in the low 3s, like 305, 310. So actually, could technically buy it back now for a little gain, I guess. I don't know. But I think for this one, I'd want to know like what are the fees or on pseudo? Like how much volume is it getting? Is it actually as cool as Blur, or is it just like this tiny little thing that not too many people are using that people are hoping will get bigger? Is it overvalued? Is it undervalued? I'd like to know those things. I haven't looked it up. Crypto Jake, Totally agree. The market has felt better since FTX blew up. Alameda was very like sneaky. Like they were super aggressive, like the most aggressive farm and dump strategies, the most aggressive, like sweep the highs, sweep the lows, like market manipulation type stuff, which I don't even market manipulation in like an illegal sense. Like I think generally they were just able to like push around and hunt stops and use what back at door info they had on FTX to really go crazy. And it's still mind blowing to me that they managed to fuck that up and essentially my fund outperformed them last year, which is crazy. Because I mean, we're good, but they had every goddamn advantage you could ask for, and they fucked it up. Greed is a terrible thing. So, point is, the market does feel better since they're gone, and much cleaner, and just they were literally like the wound, the infection in the wound that had to be cut out of this market. So good riddance. But yeah, I mean, look, guys. Now here's the other thing. Like this stuff just looks so good. That's what I was gonna say. This stuff just looks so good. And I think for all the uncertainty that we feel through these consolidations, where you're saying like, "Oh man, was it all a dream?" If and when, and I'm going to say when because I'm pretty comfortable saying that now, but pretty much if and when we get another leg, which will be like, "Oh my God, it's alt season, Bitcoin dominance," blah, blah. If and when that happens, it's going to look so obvious. And we're going to look back, and you'll look back for years because, again, this kind of depression trough with rising buy volume, breakout, retest, and go, that does not happen. Like, when's the last time it happened? Like 2021, 2 years ago. So it's really about every 2 years. And then the question, of course, is like, is this the beginning of a new cycle? I mean, I think it's the beginning of it. Does that mean it has to go straight to new highs? No. But this long depression followed by clear waking up with the bulls is so fucking exciting. So I've wasted it before. I don't intend to waste it this time. And I'm gonna eat some shit if I'm wrong, and then get back on the horse and go again. So that's it. Let's JPEG. Okay, let's look at JPEG. I'm not familiar with this coin you speak of. Where was I charting? No. Okay. Let's go back here. JPEG. Looks like maybe it's an on-chain war. Is it? JPEG governance, 6.4 mil liquidity, not bad. Can get a little AP. That looks good. That's a weekly W though. So that's like the first thing if you want to think about like, hey, when's it time to start thinking long in the market? It's after these weekly W's. And if you guys watched the show last year, you probably got sick of hearing about it because there was none, and I kept saying that. Well, now we have them, and nobody wants to buy. Ha ha ha. No, I know a lot of you guys do, and so do I. But it's just fascinating. And it sounds like JPEG was also one of the Tetranode banks. Thank you for that heads up. This is nice because the producer Victor, Coach Popovic in the chat, he knows crypto really well too. And so just now I'm talking about this, and he like leans into my ear. He's like, "There was a Tetranode bank. Like, I like this. That's a good vibe." Okay. And then I get to claim credit for it for the future. I should have said that. I should have said, "I knew that. That was my idea." Ha ha. But for real, feels like on Joe Rogan when he's got his guy, Jamie in the side. He's like, "Hey, Jamie, look this up." Well, I just do my thing. Fuck yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so this looks good. And I don't know anything about the project except for that this looks good. It's kind of what you want to see. www.breakout.dip and go. So the thing is, and this is maybe the problem to talk about right now, is that there's so much of this in the market right now. So where do you choose? How do you choose which altcoins to go with? You probably want to think about hot narratives. See if I can find a thread that I shared this morning with somebody. Okay, first of all, let's look at this. Blockmates put out a nice thread today. Shout out to Blockmates. Love you guys. You guys do great work. Anytime someone asks me things about crypto, I'm just like, you should probably just check out the free content over at Blockmates. It's really good stuff. So they listed 30 projects under 50 million market cap that have strong narratives or upcoming catalysts. This thread is a gold mine. I have no doubt that looking back, a lot of these will be outperform wars. So I retweeted it today. So if you don't have them on Twitter, you should follow them. And if you do have them on Twitter, you should go check out this thread. So this is a great place to start. It's nice to have a reason. I know a lot of traders who do very well with the little lady strategy, and they don't. Where was it? They don't overthink this stuff. They just say, "Hey, weekly W retest," and they buy a bag, something small that they don't have to manage. They set their sells for doubles, and they sell half, 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 and then they can take 100 of these. I prefer more like concentrated, sizey bets that I can focus on, and just stay a little more organized. I found I struggled with the little old lady strategy. There's just too many moving parts, and the wins were too small. Like you're like, I just caught a 10x, but it was like such a small position. So I much prefer to focus on a small number. And so how do I pick that small number? Chinese coins are hot right now. They've all kind of moved. I'm keeping an eye on things like Neo. I laugh because what the hell? Where's it been? It missed the whole L1 season. So I don't know about Neo, but like they've already moved now, right? However, that was the breakout. If you're thinking about a multi-month narrative that's heading into whatever Hong Kong launch date is, which will probably mark the top, let's be honest. Can I get a PCZ? Is there another coin like ONT Ontology that I could get? These are some old school names. Haven't heard about these ones in a long time. And so I am watching these not to FOMO into the highs of all these big breakouts, but to me, this kind of volume, that kind of narrative, like this is the beginning of it. And then in a few months, let's just say a few months, whatever it looks like, and then, now it's like, that's July, but whatever. Point being, you look back and you say, man, I can't believe I passed on that because I missed the first breakout. So I don't know which of the Chinese coins I want to pick, but I do want to keep an eye on them. I think I have a list here that I saw on Twitter. I'll share it with you guys today because it's not. Oh, what's that? Oh, Sol BTC. Yeah. Okay, let me find that list. Here it was. So here's a list of coins that seem to fit the bill. I think there's probably a lot of sneaky ones. Like a lot of the ones on this list are like well-known, higher cap, OG coins trading on Binance. I bet there's a swath of interesting, Chinese-based teams, China-based teams that are building in that, like they're just trading on Uniswap or something. So there's probably some gem hunting that could go on here, or Pancake Swap or whatever. But these are names on a list. Is it like go buy all these? No, but if these start to run, then the rotation game to some of the newer, smaller, on-chain only type tokens could be really big. So that's more my kind of trade. I don't know if I'm like super keen to like rush into things, especially like Neo, aside from having a huge treasury a year or two ago where they had 350 million bucks. And I was like, oh, they're not going anywhere, but their tech seems to suck. Nobody's building on there, at least that I've ever heard of. So, Oreo, yeah. So China coins. I don't know what's going on in AI town. Maybe there's like, maybe things are cooling off. Let's go check out ADIX. If things are just chilling, yeah. So like these things moved a lot. There's probably some nicer narratives, but don't sleep on these kinds of consolidations. And then, maybe it's like 2 weeks later and then there's a huge next leg and you're like, oh man, I totally forgot about AI coins. So yeah, I don't know if that's alpha. I guess the point is like, don't forget, I guess is my point. 2023 has been the year of the AI, and they're all just kind of off the radar right now. So there might be some reason to look here. At the end of the day, it's really overwhelming to think about how many frigging coins there are and, how many things there are to do in the market. I think I find some sense of solace in just focusing on some of the bigger names and doing my perps, positioning myself in a few alts. I still have Frax. Got a nice bag of Frax. Let's go see Frax. Consolidating since, what am I doing here? FXS. Love the liquidity. Love the narrative and the story. It's not doing much. It doesn't look very sexy. However, I'm still in it because I don't want to get bored to death by this. Now, if it rolls over and breaks below this, that would be pretty sad. And, in many ways, the technicals here do suggest that could happen. I'm going to go shit on my own coin here. You ever heard of pump my bags? No, now it's called dump my bags. And anyways, there's a fat gap here. This looks heavy, all things considered, in the market. So if we do come in and fill this, that would be unfortunate for my bag, but it would be such a sweet buying opportunity. I may have to revisit that because, yeah, there wasn't a lot of energy up here for buying. So maybe now that I'm charting it versus everything else we looked at today, this is not the best looking one. And it's actually, I bought it at like on this dip day. I panicked into it at like 970. I was like, oh man, what am I gonna buy? Oh, okay, FXS. So I'm actually slightly in profit here. So I could maybe cut this, find something that looks a little stronger. It doesn't have a massive gap below it. You know, bulls seem to be losing interest. Oh no. Are the bears waking up? I mean, yeah, based on the volume analysis we did, let's be objective, RT. The bears are kind of in control a little bit. Bulls struggling to wake up here for new highs. So make a note. I'm gonna revisit my FXS position. Not is like I don't like the project anymore, but I might try to like retreat to down here because there are a lot of coins who have just broken through this kind of level and are now like chilling right on it. So along that conversation of finding the relative outperformers, I think I might be in the wrong one here. Doesn't really have the narrative either, does it? Like it's not AI, it's not a China coin. What are the other narratives? Oh, yeah, ZK. ZK, that's the Mina coin. So like this like zero knowledge proofs, fruit roll-ups, ZK roll-ups. I always think of fruit roll-ups. Remember those snacks from the 90s? Good stuff. It's always that one weird kid at school that would like wrap them around his finger and be like, yeah. I wasn't that kid, but I had a friend that did that. Good old grade school. FXS is LSD. Yeah. Oh, liquid staking derivatives. There you go. Yeah. So that's a big narrative this year too. Don't sleep on the LSDs, liquid staking derivatives. And so FXS does fit that. Yes. Thank you for that. I knew there was some reason I bought it, but you know, this does look really strong too, as far as like we broke out, we're consolidating. It's tough to say. I don't love the look of this gap, but it's probably just because I have a big bag and now I'm like overthinking it. But again, because then it's like it's weird too, right? You really want to like, oh no, we're going down, and then cut your bag because like this is the long. This level, if it came in $7, $8, that'd be like the $7.50 to $8. That'd be like the nicest relative purchase you could make on FXS in like years, right? Big fat depression trough, big breakout on volume. I mean, anything down here is like, give me some size. So rather than cutting to avoid that little gap down, maybe I should just be thinking about adding. Because if you ask me in 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, whatever it takes, where this will be, it's like, well, we're probably just going to come up and tag 17 min. Chaos PRZs all the way up here. That seems very reasonable. 23, 24. So I've talked myself into and out of and back into my frax position. Buy ZK for the mania, but don't expect it to stick around with all the actual fast scalable L1s. Yeah, that could be a good take. And here's the thing, guys. Listen to Fishy in the chat. He seems to know a bit more about the tech. I don't know shit about ZKs. Honestly, I don't. I'm not going to sit here and like the dev debates and be like, this is the best scaling technology. However, if I see 5 things move and I go and I look in the market for things that are like it. Now here's a hot tip. Most of you know this, but if you don't already know this, go to CoinGecko and they actually list categories. So you can just click on the tag for zero knowledge coins and there they are. And I like this chart here. Very, very limited little line chart, but it kind of shows you what's been going on in 7 days in this sector. A little bit of a mix. The lower down the chain you get. Oh, Everest. I didn't know Everest was the ZK. ZK. So yeah, Mina is one of the top ones. Typically the blue chips move first. Polygon has been moving. I mean, you know why we haven't talked about Polygon? Because I don't have a bag. No. Yeah. Matic quietly like leading. Even the other day, like this is the daily candles. So while Bitcoin and everything was cooling off and stuff, Matic was breaking out to new highs. Very strong. Now the tech here, I don't like. That's actually why I don't have a bag. I started it at the start of the year with all my DCAing. It was one of the ones I DCA'd. And then I went to send it to my wallet and the transactions were all messed up. It was like, we need 102 confirmations. And then instantly it said 2 confirmations. And then it sat there for like 10 minutes. And then it went to like 70 confirmations. And then took another 10 minutes. And then went to like 82. Like it was it's just bad tech. I know. And I'm not even building there. So maybe the tech is good and I'm the only one who doesn't realize it. But it's a brutal user experience. Let's just put it that way. My user experience has been brutal. So I didn't. I sold the bag. What are you going to do, huh? Yeah. That's my take on Matic. It looks really good though. Chart looks great. Great way to stay in shape. Secret. Let's go secret. Hey. I do have to go soon because we're getting well past the top of the hour, but let's just vibe for a bit, guys. I'm hungry. I skipped lunch because of that whole couch delivery thing. So should probably go eat. Oh shoot. Hold up. I have a call. Is he? One sec. I think it's actually with one of the blockmates guys. So maybe he will just come hang out and watch and I don't have to go right away. Okay. I'm going to say I'll be on in 10. Okay. Okay. My bad. Good thing I checked. We have a call right now. But I'll go see that in 10. So let's wrap up with a few thoughts here. We race with China. Anyone remember ZRX? Oh my God, yeah. The funny thing is ZRX is still doing a lot of stuff. I think, like, I don't know about the token, but there's a lot of stuff being processed by this, what do you call it, middleware? Can you tell I'm not a dev? I gotta get my mouse ball roller thing fixed. It's so choppy. Anyways, yeah. I think the problem here was obviously tokenomics, because I hear from some pretty smart people that the tooling going on with ZRX is actually pretty good. It's used in a lot of things. I just don't think anyone gives a shit about the token. Ooh, SNX now on Optimism was one that I was longing probably at the wrong time. Kind of like through this, I was trying to get long. I think I caught it for a very small profit. Felt like a champion here and didn't load up. So now I don't know how I feel. But yeah, this is an Optimism now. Is it a ZK? Is it in the PCZ? Oh, what a nice dip. See, ultimately that would have been where I should have waited. I don't always do it the right way, but let's see. Yes, Cosmos confirming ZRX is the backbone for so much of DeFi. So I think that the LOL there is like a lot of people, myself included, tried to translate that into bullishness on the token, which never really. It'd be a nice case study. It'd be a good case study for like what the hell's going on with their token, how not to do it if you want to drive demand to your token, because for whatever their usages are, they don't seem to. Funny money. It almost looks like chat spam. I don't know what to say. Funny money. It's a lot of rockets and capitals and fist bumps. Fishy says he knows a Neo dev from primary school. That's pretty funny. Yeah, I had high hopes for Neo through the last bear market just because of all the projects that were dying. It had like this monstrous war chest, but something about the tech seemed to have not taken off. So yeah, I think high level guys, we can summarize with super bull vibes, high time frame coming out of this range. If wrong, oh man, messed up the nice chart. If wrong small. If right big. And then if wrong, probably rolling back down into this and, probably be short and sweet. I still think from there we just go higher anyways. Again, could be double wrong. Oh my God, could be super wrong. Oh, 12K. I just don't see it. But, rest assured if that happens, I won't be in a fat long all the way down. I'll be getting cut pretty quick and dirty. So very bullish on the spring of this year. Cannot highlight that enough. And then it's a matter of like, let's get on the fast horses. Let's think about the narratives, AI, China coins, ZK, Bitcoin could be stealing some of the show here, short term, midterm. So those are kind of my thoughts. Last thought, because a good old friend of mine put me on to something. He has a private account. I don't know if I'm going to dox him, but my good friend Messi, our old friend Messi, was talking about Bone last night on Twitter. So something about, Shibarium launch. So I don't know. This would be the first dog token I ever bought. I picked some up this morning because, my friend, he does not tweet the coin names often. But if Shibarium is launching soon, and then this could be the narrative of next week or the week after. So I picked some up. Nothing crazy. Like, I think he talked about it online a bit around 183. I got in this morning when I woke up at like 187. It's trading 196. It's a moon bag. See if this thing breaks out. So if Shibarium is launching, I imagine all the dog things and all the leash and bone and all the silly memes around that will probably do pretty well. So and possibly something going on at South by Southwest in March, some presentation. So yeah, it could be some stuff cooking over here. He mentioned that to me really through Twitter. And that's another thing that I bought as far as talking about ideas in the market. But this is a total meme shitcoin to me. I don't know a thing about it. Bone Shiba Swap to me sounds like something I would have mid-curved last year. But now I'm ready for a little grease. So we'll see. Relative outperformance here, as you would expect from delicious crypto and poopy TradFi. I think that's all I have for today, guys. I got to get to that call, do that meeting, blah, blah, blah. Good stuff. Oh, man, stacks. I know you asked that like at the start. So I'm going to do a quick stacks. Is that STX? Uh-oh. Haven't charted it before. Let's go chart it on here. Maybe we get some good stacks. Is it stacks? Yeah, the ordinal Bitcoin narrative. Yeah. I've been hearing about this one more and more. Is this it? Probably. Look at this thing. So if this is going to get some smart contracts on Bitcoin type treatment, this could be really cool. That's a cool thought, because before Bitcoin go crazy, altcoins shit, but now there's some coins out there that could capture fire with the Bitcoin narrative. Trying to think of some stacks. Let's build that list out for next week. I'm going to think internally about, I'm going to think externally. What the hell? I'm going to think about how we could find some like Bitcoin proxy altcoins, because then you can have the upside of altcoins while Bitcoin season's going on. Maybe. Does that make sense? I think so. Maybe. So stacks looks like a Bitcoin play, which is pretty cool. And this chart looks delicious. So as you guys can imagine, the only thing I can really do with this chart, if I want to buy some, which I don't right now, I have to look into it, but looks very strong, is set it up for one of these, and then get my PCZ, which is actually pretty close. Like if this kind of thing happens, this could be a really nice second leg type trade, bot setup, etc. But for now, that's it. Very strong breakout. How many percent was that? It's hard to tell just staring at it sometimes. Oh, 200% move off the lows. So not early, not late. But yeah, thinking about some other coins that could do well in the face of, Bitcoin's back. That'd be kind of cool. RTEM, is this the one? Yeah. So Bones, gas token for SHIB. Okay, so that's pretty cool. So Shibarium's coming out soon. What the hell that is? I don't even know what that is, but I heard about it like last year. Yes, and the volume on stacks is sickening. So yes, PCZ season is in, and this is actually probably one that I should be looking at. Figure out where it trades, if it's on chain, if I can buy it. Anyways, yeah, if Bones is the gas token for whatever this dog coin chain is going to be, then I think that there's probably a very good narrative there for 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. I don't know. Anyways, guys, have a wonderful day. I got to run. I'm rambling. I'm hungry. I got calls this afternoon. But let's see. Let's see how these trades evolve over the next few days. I'm still very excited about this consolidation breaking up. Tune in next week to find out. Take care, guys. Whatever you do from now until next time, always play from a position of strength. Cheers. And scene. Victor, this is your cue.